Another Ask Me Anything session. I'm really excited. Definitely let me know where you're coming in from. I am here again Friday, 12 o'clock. Every Friday, I do these Ask Me Anything sessions where I get questions from the community and answer them to see, how I could be of service, how could I be of help. This is really exciting because obviously, it's Juneteenth tomorrow, so happy Juneteenth. You know, like how important this is, especially in American history. I think it's a really proud day for all of us as Black African Americans to know about the history and what sacrifices we have made in this country. And so I just want to celebrate and say happy Juneteenth to everyone. With that said, can't believe it. The summer is really diving in, and here we are. Almost at the end of June. So I'm going to dive right into the top questions that the community has been asking over the past couple of days. Last week, I think on the Ask Me Anything session, I was talking about personal branding and a lot of different content items around how to build a personal brand in the digital space. This week, I'm probably going to answer a lot more questions that came in around business development, career mapping. There were a lot of questions around balance, again, productivity. So I'll answer those questions as well. But I'll start with, obviously, someone just asked me, I posted an image on social media. So some of you might be aware of, I just came off maternity leave. So I posted an image of, me pretty much saying that I'm back, and mothers in hashtag mothers in tech, that, I'm back from maternity leave and just back at it. And I was really excited to post that because first I'll just let everyone know that I'm back, that, my company is growing. We're at a really unique time in my company's journey, the global startup ecosystem, and what we're doing to pretty much digitize how people access talent around the world, especially in emerging markets like Haiti, Nigeria, Ghana, and the like. And so I was really excited to just share with everyone that I'm back and that, I'm really diving straight in. And some of the comments and questions that I got from that post were very interesting. One was the question was like, so you're back from maternity leave. How are you going to balance, building and scaling, your company? Do you have any advice? So I'll start by just answering some of those questions because I think, I don't know if we've done a disservice to assume that, when mothers go on maternity leave or where parents go on maternity leave, like how are they able to balance work life? I want to make it very clear. I think, this transition of people having families is such a part of everyday life. Like, I don't think I know anyone who doesn't have a mother or father, which means that everyone goes through these cycles, or at least many people in society go through these cycles of having families, going through that journey of parenting, and are able to build and scale their lives. And this is nothing new. I think, yes, I'm in a fast growing tech industry. So it's very unique to say, like, how do you keep up? But I think, motherhood brings not only the beauty of motherhood, of being a mother, but also it helps you be grounded, it helps you be focused, it helps me be targeted. I'm able to make very decisive decisions very clearly and accurately and quickly, because time is very, very important, how it's leveraged and how it's optimized. And so I do think as a mother in tech, like, I'm able to really capitalize on the work week. I'm able to balance and value how I spend time with my family and my friends. And more importantly, I think, like, set an example. All right. I don't know what happened there, but the connection went off. But yeah, so someone asked me, how do I balance? Because someone was asking pretty much, how do I multitask really well? And I think that was really shocking to me because I think I mentioned this before in a previous Ask Me Anything session. This work culture ethic of like just the hustle and grind, I think is overrated. I do think people need to be more optimized, not maximized. And what I mean by we need to have a better conversation about being more optimized and not maximized. It's because when you try to maximize things, I feel like you maximize something to depletion, whereas optimize means that you're trying to execute and make something get better and better and better and more efficient. And I think that's what we need to aim for, right? We need to aim for optimization and not maximization, because we're human beings, and we need to interact. And also you need to, like, I think that as people, we need to also internalize the experiences that we're living, especially when it comes to our work, right? We're not rats in a rat race, right? Like, anytime you feel like you're just doing things over and over and over and over, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. And so I think it's really, really important that, that we have a better conversation about what, work ethic needs to look like, that we shouldn't be forcing people down this rabbit hole of just trying to work, and try to multitask and hustle and grind. I know my generation, definitely, millennials, yes, and Gen Z, yes. We have this huge hustle and grind culture. Sorry, I'm not a part of it. I grind and I put in the work. People know that I work really, really hard, but I want to work intelligently, not just working for the sake of work. And so I think that's something that I'll share, that, I think it's my perspective on how I look at work in general, in terms of optimization, not maximization. And that has helped me find the right tools to optimize, to be more efficient, to be more productive. So with that said, again, some of the top tools that I've used in the past include everything from Slack to Monday.com to spreadsheets. Yes, I still use spreadsheets, to the old school paper and pen. I still use paper and pen to digest my thoughts. And so I think it's something that, you can still use old school methods to be as optimized as you can be. Another great question. Again, you guys can ask me questions live. I would love to answer them, and see a couple of hellos in the chat feed. So hello. Thank you so much for joining, Crystal. I really appreciate that sweet message. So hello. I'm just going to share some of the awesome comments here. And of course, a couple of you guys are saying hi on the chat feed. So hello, everyone. Hello. Another quick question that I'm seeing here is regarding how we're able to really think about, optimization in terms of business development. I will stress that when it comes to business development, one thing that we look at, at our business is like, our operational activity, and then what we would say our community activity. I do think businesses are becoming more community centric, and not as transactional. And something that I've been a big proponent of discussing amongst many channels, about how to be more benefit your community, which is your customers, your stakeholders, your partners, your vendors. How do you optimize to be more resourceful to them? So we've done things from anything to teaching our vendors how to give us better invoices, and giving them access to some of our partner dashboards, so that way they can optimize their business and become better vendors to us. We have done things where any speaker on our platform, we ask them what is your journey? What are your goals in terms of being a speaker on our platform, and how to optimize your personal brand to get more opportunities, right? These are the things that when you optimize and support your community by understanding what they're going through, whether they're a stakeholder as a customer, a vendor, a partner, you're able to see the benefits of that over time. So that's something that we've done systematically over the past couple of weeks and couple months and couple years. And I say weeks, months, years, because I feel like every day we're learning of a new platform that we could share with that ecosystem. And we're always trying to get that out to them as soon as possible. And so with that said, another great question that we received this week was around investment. How do people capitalize on investment? I am going to be sharing something really cool next week regarding how to invest in GSE in unique ways that entrepreneurs could get capital to fundraise. So stay tuned for the next Ask Me Anything session. I'm actually going to be doing 2 Ask Me Anything sessions next week, Monday and Friday, to go over this, because I think this is a really unique opportunity for entrepreneurs to be able to grow and scale businesses that are doing really well on traction, by the way, because obviously it's not scaling ideas, it's scaling something that's functioning, that's doing really well, and how to take it to the next level. Another thing that I wanted to address this week, again, I'm trying to get through as many as possible. Crystal just asked, your several great events. What advice do you have for persons getting into the space, including getting global partnerships? So Yes, we've hosted a lot of different events. And one advice I will give for anyone who's trying to get global partnerships is stop trying to sell people. So every partner, wow, that's interesting. Almost, yeah, every partner that GSE has, we didn't sell them at first. We actually didn't say, here's our price metric. This is what we do. We actually invited them to something that we're doing so they could see what we're doing live and then have a conversation about what they needed and see what the synergies were and onboard them as a partner. It goes back to like, we live in a world where, I don't know if you feel this way, but if you get an email where someone's just selling something, even if you need that product, you don't want it, right? And that's because you don't like the approach. It doesn't feel like this person is really thinking about what I need as a customer or what I need as an individual. They're just thinking about how to make their sale. And because we live in a world where we're able to interact with each other more easier, do the extra mile work of just getting people to see what you do best. And so for us, our platforms, our training programs, and trying to help young people get access to work and get companies to get access to tech talent, it speaks for itself. So we always invite companies and partners and major institutions to our programs live, and they're able to see the impact. They're able to see the work that we do, because sometimes showing is better than telling, right? Especially right now that we're living in this virtual space. This is probably the easiest way for you to, as an entrepreneur, showcase what you do virtually, and let companies tap into your platform. So that when we start to go live, they're able to just work with you along the journey. So that's what we've done. That's the advice I'll get. Close global partnerships by actually giving global partners memories that they could tap into. And what I mean by that is like, give them access to what you do. Let them see, because showing them what you do is a lot louder than telling them what you do. And that way they're invested, and also they become ambassadors within the institution. One thing that's the biggest hurdle for entrepreneurs when it comes to closing partners is not know who's the point of contact within the company that will be able to close the deal. Right. And so the best thing to do is, if you work with an individual at that institution, right, they're able to now see what you do and be able to showcase and be an ambassador. So I'll give a perfect example. We work with major companies like Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, we work with them. Sometimes the one employee that we work with, where we invite them to a program that we're doing, they love it. They go brag about it to other employees, and the word spreads like, I've heard about this platform called GSE through this LinkedIn employee that's been a part of the platform. And it gets to the right manager who say like, hey, can you make an introduction for us to meet with the team to be able to launch, let's say, a tech program in Haiti, for example, right? And that's how it happens, right? And one thing I will say, patience helps as well. If you know and this is the last thing I will say in terms of advice to other entrepreneurs, if you believe your company will be here for a decade or more, you start to treat people with the respect that they deserve, of building relationships first and not transactions first. What do I mean by that? Because I am very confident that I am around for the long haul, that my company will be here for the long haul, that what we're doing is valuable and will be here for years to decades to come. I'm not in a rush to try to close deals. And of course, I have metrics to meet. I have deals that I need to close. I have quotas that I need to meet. But I interact with people with my heart and with my best intentions, because I'm not trying to like build on a transaction. I'm really trying to figure out, what value do you need out of our organization, and how do I bring that value and in a way that doesn't deplete me, right? Because think about it, I'm not, and this is something that you guys got me on a roll right now, right? Where I've seen entrepreneurs say, I'll give you anything you need, and don't focus on their core product, right? If your core product is valuable, focus on giving them that, right? So let's say, you're a store, a tech company that sells Apple watches, but the customer that came through is looking for Apple TVs. Don't go try to build an inventory of TVs because you want to get that customer and makes money on that day. No, say like, look, let me direct you to where you need to find Apple TVs. Maybe I know a partner or an institution down the road that's done it. But when you're ready to buy Apple watches, come to us, because we're the best at doing that. Now that person has a positive memory of their interaction with you, and they're definitely going to come back. 9 times out of 10, they're going to come back, right? And that leads to, I would say, human psychology. People are not going to remember what you said. but people are going to remember the sentiment and the feeling they had into that interaction. And if people can feel that at an individual level, think about how people will feel about that at the institutional level. You represent the institution. If your organization gives that sentiment organically, where we're an organization that wants to bring value to our clients, our customers, our stakeholders, people resonate with that. There's a reason why they say your brand is more than your logo. Your brand is more than your reputation. Your brand is also the vibes, the sentiments, the energy that it gives off to people who interact with it. So it's very important that you're able to clearly enunciate not only your value through a pitch deck, which I really, to be honest with you, I could explain what GSE does and what we do and why we do it without a pitch deck. I don't need a pitch deck to explain to you the value that we do. And our entrepreneurs, I think, need to do a better job just having conversations. And that's the last thing I will say to answer that question. Learn to have conversations with people, not pitching people. I'm a big proponent of learn how to pitch appropriately. I have raised $250,000, by the way, on pitch competitions. I am good at pitching. I'm going to toot my horn because not enough female entrepreneurs of color say it. I am good at pitching. I can pitch you anything, right? I'm good at it. But what's more important to me is that I have a conversation with you, that I grow with you, that you get to know me as an entrepreneur, what I value, what I care about, and understand that the value that my business brings to you as an organization, right? Those are the things that matter. And that's what creates lasting relationships where a client, let's say that I've been dealing with in 2018, 2021 is giving me a 6-figure contract. That's actually what happened. Right? As you speak, I'm getting 6-figure contract deals from clients that I've been talking about in 2017, 2015, right? It goes back to if you communicate with people like you're in it for the long haul, it does comes in leap and found. And the funnel speaks for itself. So hopefully that was able to answer your question about how to build global partnerships. Clearly, I'm passionate about this because I really believe you're not only trying to build a client base, but you're also trying to build an ecosystem around your business. So guys, keep bringing the questions live because I'll answer them live as I go. And I'm going to go back to the questions that I see here from last week. Another question that someone asked me is like, how was I able to pretty much plan out career development strategy? So career development strategy, I think let's throw away the jargon. Let's get back to the basics. You're living your life. You're at 18, you become an adult. At 18, I feel like the world is real, right? Between 18 and 22, typically people go to college, right? And then from 22 and beyond, that's when people come into the workforce and live their life. When it comes to career planning, I think the first thing you need to think about is like, first thing I would say, and my career planning objectives in a way is probably not the mainstream way of doing it. I'm not a career expert, but I am a career expert in a sense, right? In the fact that I would say that first and foremost, believe that you're going to be around for at least 50 years. Let's just put it out to the universe. I'm going to be around for us 50, let's say 100. You're going to live to be 100 years old. Let's start there. You're going to live to be a century. So if you live to be a century, you look at the world a little bit differently. Because you think about just like, okay, if I'm 30 today, what would my decades in the 40s look like? What would I want to be doing with my life? What would my decades in the 50s look like? At 80, at 90, at 100? And you start to look at the world and say, okay, what would keep me optimized? What would keep me happy each decade, right? And you start to realize that you're not in this rat race to try to do everything in 1 year. There's a famous quote that people say that people overestimate what they're able to do 1 year and underestimate what they're able to do in 10 years. Very crucial statement because you need to really think about, well, we're all rushing to try to do something so quickly, but we're not thinking about the growth. And one thing I would say is, I think we need to be better about just doing the work and doing the grunt work, because sometimes, we're all trying to look for the shortcut, but don't realize that you want the shortcut after you understand the entire process the long way. This is why people say sometimes learning the hard way is actually the better way, because you learn all the nuances that make you find the right shortcuts. Because sometimes if you learn by learning shortcuts first, when you don't have that shortcut option, you're not able to do things the right way anymore. Right? It's kind of like, for example, if you were able to learn how to get a job just by pretty much clicking a button, and you start working on the organization. Let's say the organization lays you off a year later, right? Now, as an unemployment crisis, you don't know what skills you need to be able to optimize your resume, optimize your profile, optimize your cover letter, what career tips you need to say. Like, you just handicap yourself, right? Because you were so focused on trying to get to the shortcut that you didn't try to get yourself to be the best that you could be, and upping your skills, upping your mindset, upping your ability to really get to the right stage mentally, psychologically, and physically. So now you're in a situation where you're now out for the count. So I'm not saying shortcuts are not important. I'm just saying thrive in the ability to live this life without shortcuts. So that way, when you get to those shortcuts, you're able to create them. And also, I would say there are guidelines all around the world. You could break guidelines because you're able to know the fundamental steps of any challenge. And that's something that's very, very important. Try to learn the fundamental steps of every challenge. You will thank yourself in the long run, because that's what gives people momentum growth. Because think about it, like if you're constantly learning how to run up a hill, by the time you learn how to run up that hill, and now if someone say, okay, by the way, this is the path now, you could just now start just walking straight. It's a joke. It's a joke trying to get through that pathway now, because you've been going up the hill for so long. Now you know how to go straight across. So I say that because I've definitely been through my own journey. And when I see people struggle with today, I'm like, it's easy to me because I learned the hard way. And so that's the final thing I will say. Thank you so much, Wilson, on that feedback. I really appreciate that. And of course, like I said, these are things that are obviously from lived experiences. So I'm really appreciative of the feedback. But yeah, these are the things that you guys need to be highly aware of, right? And again, one thing I will say, in terms of something that I learned the other day, someone was talking about the current economy and the crisis that we're living right now, in terms of whether I believe that we're going to, enter a crash, and what decisions will I do differently. Honestly, I think habits are habits. People tend to think that when a crisis will emerge, that they will know what to do, right? But truly, really and truly, you got to really look at your habits now, so you can know how you can optimize for yourself when a crisis hits. Because if you don't look at what you're doing, in terms of are you someone when something gets really bad, do you double down, flight or fight, or do you head with it head on? You need to look at yourself and put yourself in pressure points. One thing that I constantly do, and I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I actually put myself in a lot of pressure points. And what I mean by that, I actually do put myself in challenging situations just to kind of see how I would deal with it, right? I'm not crazy. I do this because I realized in putting myself in pressure point situations, when situations arise where it's a real challenge, I'm able to get through it a lot easier. So definitely really think about, how to really optimize yourself and really, get opportunities to put yourself in those situations to really learn and navigate because things are moving very quickly. I was looking at a stat the other day about, pretty much the workforce right now, the unemployment rates are getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know what to tell you guys in terms of the rates of unemployment that's hitting through the roof right now. And inflation is at an all-time high. And I think people are realizing that the cost of buying products right now is getting higher and higher and higher. But I'm not scared. I'm not scared. It's not because I'm a billionaire. It's not because, I'm rich. It's not because I have a space satellite where I could beam down to the planet and know what's going on. It's because I believe in my ability and credibility to be creative during these times. And so that's the reason why I'm not afraid. I think the one thing that I will say is right now, what I'm doing more of, and this is probably a good question that you guys should be really look into, is that I'm doing more skills training. So I'm on Skillshare a lot. I'm watching a lot more YouTube videos, especially YouTube videos where people are teaching fundamental knowledge. I highly recommend these 3 channels, by the way. Cold Fusion is one of my favorite channels where I'm learning a lot about the state of the world, the state of technology, the state of what's happening. The second channel that I use a lot is Jake Tran is another really great YouTube influencer who does a lot of great overviews of what's happening around the world. And Slide Bean is really entrepreneurs use it to build pitch decks. But I love the entrepreneur Caleb. I love how he talks about the world and the state of technology and the state of the world that we live in. And when I look at these YouTube channels, one thing I will say is that each one of them have a really great way of synthesizing the macro worldview. And that's something that you need to get really good at. try to learn how to assess the world and describe it in a way that makes sense to your peers and makes sense to the people around you. I think right now we have information overload. So a lot of times people are reading a lot of articles, but still don't understand height of what's going on, right? And part of that is because you're not processing the information that's coming to you and trying to synthesize it. Practice reading and synthesizing what's happening right before your eyes, so that way you're able to now take action on the information. You can't take action on information you don't understand. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. So it's very important that you're able to learn how to optimize yourself and read, learn, iterate, synthesize, and repeat. And so those are some things. Somebody asked me, where do I get my information? What newsletters I'm reading right now? I love The Hustle. I love The Morning Brew. Those are two really great newsletters that come out every single week that gives really great thought leadership. I also sign up. Anything that I'm aiming for right now, I'm actually doing a funding round. So anything that I'm aiming for, I sign up for VC newsletters. So I always tell people, like, whatever you're going for, look for I guess the platforms that target audience is looking for. So for example, if you're an entrepreneur trying to raise capital, fundraising, what newsletters are VCs reading right now? Right, that's the ones you should sign up for. If you're entrepreneur trying to get a client in a corporate space, read the newsletters that corporations are reading into. Read the magazines that they're reading into, right? Because if you know what they're looking at, you know how to close them, right? So these are the things that I've been able to optimize my time on and really search for. That's been very, very useful for me as an entrepreneur, but also as an individual. Finally, again, I know we have like about 5 minutes here left, because I did say this is going to be a shorter Ask Me Anything session, just because I'm going to be doing 2 next week. The last thing I will say is take some breathing time to schedule boredom into your day. And that's the last hack. I can't wait to see people's reaction to this, that I will give people. That is my strategy that's helped me. Boredom. What I mean by boredom is, have you ever seen a child, when you put a child in a room, they would have nothing to do, and you come back and they're able to create houses out of cardboard boxes. They're able to create, people out of paper clips. Like, literally, you see so much creativity comes because the child was bored. Now let's take this back to productivity. I get more productive because sometimes I actually plan out boredom, where I literally will stay in a room. I take my gadgets out of the room. I take the TV out of the room. I take the laptops out of the room. I don't do anything that has to do with anything tech. I don't even have anyone in the room. I'm by myself, and I'm just one with myself. Some people could say, like, okay, that's a good time to meditate. That's a good time to pray. That's a good time to, reflect on your thoughts. I just sit there. Yeah, I just sit there. Just sit. Even if 15 minutes, just sit. And that 15 minutes of boredom, your mind starts to race. You ever hear when people say, like, oh, my mind was racing about something? Because you're bringing clarity to the environment for you to really think about things clearly. And then you're able to put it to work. So that's a big productivity that I have, hack that I have, that actually plan out boring moments in my day. So that way I can have a moment to just think and reflect and just let my mind wander. And the last thing I will say is, when it comes to that, when you have those moments, jot it down, write it down, what came to mind, because you'll start to see that you're starting to not creatively problem solve any challenge that you're going through, because you're able to have that moment of silence, of lack of stimulation, to just focus on targeting that. So I do that all the time. This is the reason why I like to write, because sometimes technology helps us optimize, but at the same time, technology sometimes takes us away from our original way of thinking. I do feel like there's going to be case studies where they're going to have to figure out the impact of technology on our brain and our ability to think and our ability to grow fundamentally as a human species. I do think we need sometimes to separate a little bit. And this is coming from someone who's all about digitization and optimization, right, through technology, right? But even tech experts, they said that Steve Jobs actually makes sure he forbids his kids from having access to tablets and phones at many hours during the day. So that way, when he tap into it, they're able to still have a clear thought process. So you used to be able to plan that in to your day-to-day routine as well. It helps tremendously when it comes to productivity, and also it helps tremendously for your psychological health, your mental well-being, but also your excitement for what's to come. And that's something that I want to make also very clear, that whatever you're thinking in your mind, try to avoid, and this the last thing I will say, when I have an idea, I actually consider it done. It doesn't matter if it's far-fetched. So let's say I have an idea and I say I want to build, which is the idea that I actually have. I want to actually do space passports for people to go to space. It's done. Like this is gonna happen, right? Because it's already in my head and I already believed it. And you'll see that things start to align where you start to see it everywhere. You ever think about, let's say you try and buy a car, and because you think about that car, you visualize it, you start seeing all over the road. The same thing with opportunity. When you think about something you want it and you already consider it done, you start to see like different opportunities and things open up for you, right? It's obviously people call it the law of attraction. People call it the law of the universe. People say that this is a way for you to be able to attract abundance in your life. That might feel like spiritual fluff to you, but it actually is true, right? Same way, you ever notice like when you're mad and you're angry and you're frustrated, it's almost like Murphy's law have caught up to you, where everything that could go wrong goes wrong. Is because your mindset, you're closing your mind to certain opportunities, right? You're closing your mindset to certain things that you need to be able to, something, and it's perspective, right? Something that you would see, like let's say someone crossing the street, aggravates you now, right? Because now you're waiting for the person to cross the street and you're not able to think, well, why is the person crossing the street in the middle of the road as opposed to the junction? We need to think about a better way of making it easier for you to cross the street, right? Just because now you have more patience and your mindset is one of abundance, you see that same activity that would have frustrated you before in a more positive mindset, right? And so that's the last thing I will say. Definitely really think about how you look at how you spend your time mentally as well. It's not always about finding tools, finding hacks, finding strategies, also how you look at the world. Plan boredom, plan it well, right? And then leverage that boredom to build on your creativity. And with that creativity, have a positive mindset to say like, yo, this is possible. And you'll start to see magic starts to happen when things start to connect in ways that they couldn't connect before. And that's what I'll end with. And hopefully you find that very useful. And I just want to again thank everyone for being a part of the Ask Me Anything session. I'll always love doing these. So you'll see me again next week, same time, same place. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.